pop open the stream just so I could share links and stuff. And I'll just be waiting a little bit, and we'll go ahead and get started. How are you liking Python?
Oh, I like it a lot. I mean, it's more intuitive than writing stuff in C++.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of modules for it for artificial intelligence stuff. So that's pretty good. I don't know, that class I did though, it was like a IT 400 level class, and it felt like a joke. I was like, get some more out of it before I call myself done with it for now.
Yeah. IT4. So they use Python in IT400?
Yeah, it was an artificial intelligence class.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot.
It was a cool class. It was great, but it's just like they didn't actually expect you to create like a heuristic search tree. They just expected you basically to evaluate the validity of moves and stuff like that. I mean, I never really got in depth about that other stuff.
Right.
Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna pull that up on my phone and just turn the phone volume off. Phone volume off. Oh, I can hear myself. Phone volume off. I got kind of a smaller desk, so I don't have a place to put everything.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I recently.
Yeah.
I recently moved. Got a new place, and I finally have my own office. So my plan is to just outstretch a desk pretty much throughout the entire room.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like multiple monitors or something, or why?
Oh yeah. Well, right now I have two 27 inches and a 32 inch next to me, but I want to have my workstation computer in here as well as my Mac for doing other things, because I have a few different rigs. I have this one for teaching and just kind of playing games and goofing around. Then I have my workstation, which is not hooked up to the internet, and then I have my Mac, which I do like graphic stuff on sometimes.
Oh, nice. I just got a laptop, and I'm going to use that a lot for my coding classes and stuff.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it's got 32 gigs of RAM, and it's got like an i7 7700 or something.
Wow, and a laptop?
It should be good for all that. Yeah.
What graphics card?
The graphics card isn't great, which is why I'm not going to be using it for Unreal and stuff.
Okay, but all that RAM and processor is good for compiling.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, that's the main reason I got that one. And then this one that I'm running, I got the 2070 Super.
Oh yeah, that's what I just got for my teaching rig. Is the 2070 Super.
Oh, nice. What do you have on your actual workstation?
I have two Titans.
I don't know what a Titan is.
It's the NVIDIA Titan.
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, look it up. They're nice cards. I have two of them SLI'd.
Is it like more than $600 or what?
Yeah, they're about $2,000 a piece, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then I can. Oh wait, I don't know. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Yeah, I made a little video, so I can kind of show what the goal is in case we don't get there.
Oh, nice. Okay, that works.
I went ahead and did it all. I ran through it again because it'd been a while. And I was able to set it up. I set it up for VR, so I'm gonna show them how to just create. I'm gonna show how to create a character based on that CPP class I built.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll have to do that. I'll have to implement that origin from the floor level in the BP.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah. And then the watch, I haven't really messed with attaching user interface to C++. That's actually in a blueprint.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
And
there's some things that it's really not worth diving into too much. You know, see, but like with user interfaces, there's such minimal processing going on there. It's just visual
right,
stuff that there
yep.
recently isn't much point doing it in C++.
Yeah, I'm just feeding the info into the blueprint from the code.
Yeah,
Like I just have it on tick, so it feeds it from the C++ code,
yeah,
and then it goes to the widget.
yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I did a feedback video for you, talking about your code.
Yeah,
I don't know if you got a chance to watch it yet, but I talk
I
about
did.
that. Oh, did you?
I did not yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
know. I know that I got a B because I didn't put some sort of video. I must have missed that instruction.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just to post up some screencast or something that you've done in the past, and it's just because I have to follow the rubric, you know. So, um,
Yeah, I must not have. I must not have looked at it
yeah,
very well. So,
yeah, that's all right. Just
is
let me
that
know when you resubmit, and I'll update your grade. That's all.
okay? So just to submit. Okay, I'll look for that portion or whatever that I missed points on then.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, that video feedback I left you talks about that your player stats on tick and stuff, and kind of different ways to approach that, so it's a little bit um, more efficient.
Great.
So yeah.
Cool, man. I'll definitely do that. I didn't get around to that O algorithm yet, and I've already jumped over to the Python stuff. So we'll see.
Okay.
The big O algorithm or whatever it is you were talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that if I was going to implement that anywhere in that function, it would have to detect how much of an effect that those stack calculations are in the event tick, because that's really the only function that's going to be eating a lot of power, I think.
Right. Well, the big O notation
Okay.
is it's a math equation that you can use to figure out how long something will take to process. So it's not so much an algorithm in itself, but it's a way of kind of measuring how efficient your code is.
Right.
Um, and it'll kind of help you divide up your functions, figure out how expensive each one is, and figure out kind of better ways of writing your code so it's a little bit more efficient, especially for VR, because you know frame rate is vital for it. So
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was when I was doing it for the Quest. It was really bad. You said you just played on the Rift, right?
I've done Rift and the PlayStation VR and one
Okay.
other one. I don't remember what it was. It was at a friend's
So
house.
if you play the games that are on the Quest when it's not hooked up to your computer,
Mm,
you're running off of a system that's basically a 2-year-old phone. So I mean, when I first started diving into the VR programming and I was doing it for the Quest,
yeah,
like I mean, you have to keep your poly count super low.
right.
You have to work on making like super basic textures.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I mean, I the most intense vertigo I ever felt playing VR was when I initially was making my own games.
Oh yeah.
It got pretty bad because I tried to make a big landscape at first with all these textures, and then now I've got it to the point where I've got a good enough PC I could just hook it up to the computer and play high quality stuff. I mean, you still have to work on minimalizing things, but it's
Right.
not nearly as bad as it was with the Quest.
Right. Okay.
What time do we wait till, like 5:05 or something, or 7:05, I guess?
Well, it's 7 now. I'm just keeping an eye on my watch list here to see who's joining in. Let me.
Yeah, I can't see the chat for some reason on my phone. Oh, there we go. Yeah, nobody's here. We can wait a few minutes. One of the guys in our capstone group, he posted a Discord. He was working on some sort of AI too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but he was doing something where they'd shoot him or something. I don't know. He was working on setting up the nav mesh when I jumped in for a minute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
And maybe they don't know how hard you're going to grade for the 305 class. So they're like, oh, we don't have to attend.
Yeah, this 305 is actually one of my smaller ones.
Oh, really? How many people?
About 18 people total.
Oh, okay.
Which isn't too bad. Usually I have like 20 to 25. So.
I mean, 18. It's pretty close to 20, though. So
Yeah.
not too bad.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to pick up because of the remote learning, or do you think it's going to decline because not as many people are registering for school right now?
Well, it's actually about the same because all the campus instructors are now teaching online as well. So
Right.
pretty much their campus students are just going right into their online course. So.
Well, I heard some sort of report that there's been less people registering for college generally right now.
Oh, wow.
People applying that are high school seniors.
Oh, hey, Joe. How's it going?
Hey, Joe. I'm Chris. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, this is Chris. He's going to be lecturing for you guys today, covering AI, which is pretty cool. I'm excited to see what he gets into. We're just chatting away until people join.
Hey, Joe. Nice to meet you, man. Hope you're doing good wherever in U.S. you are, or if you're in another country as well. Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason. How's it going?
Well, yeah, we're gonna do a behavior tree today. I don't know if you've ever worked with the behavior tree or the blackboard or any of that kind of stuff.
Doing great, Jason. Thank you.
I'm not great with my sports references, Joe.
Yeah, me either. I'm not a sports guy.
Oops.
All right, so I guess we can go ahead and get started. Dropping this class. Hey, I liked football in my teens. I played it really well. I just don't like watching it.
Poker's good. Poker's kind of a sport. And
poker's pretty cool.
Now skateboarding's going into the Olympics, so some people are calling it a sport.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I used to skate when I was younger. That's actually why my knee is so bad. But.
Oh, I've never watched it, but I've played it drunk a couple of times.
No, you're not, Jason. All right, Chris. Well, welcome everybody to our 305 Thursday night chat. This is Chris. He is going to be guest lecturing and showing us some AI using behavior trees and Blackboard and stuff like that. Something I don't usually cover because I don't like them, but it's good to show kind of both sides of everything. So he'll be showing off kind of the Blackboard and behavior tree system, which is extremely popular and pretty much the industry standard way of doing things. I just have more of a hands-on, picky way of doing things. But yeah, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Chris, and you go ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, that's me, right? Or
yeah, that's you.
Okay. Allow. Oh, do I have to pick? Oh, there we go. Entire screen. Ray, this is my first time doing this, you guys. Firefox cannot allow permanent access to your system.
Oh.
No, I got it.
Okay, you got it. Good.
Did that work?
It's loading. We'll see.
Okay.
Oh man. Tactical.
I have 40 gigs up, or yeah, 40 megs upload speed, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Technical difficulties, everybody. Bear with us. Yeah, we're not streaming yet.
Can I click stop streaming and just try it again?
Yeah. No, we're not getting it.
I think sharemyscreen.com or something is an option, right?
It might be because of the I wonder if it's because of the browser version rather than.
Okay, I'm downloading Discord for my PC right now.
All right. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties. I will take over and hop into Unreal here and show some stuff while he's getting all that worked out.
We didn't try that when we were doing the setup.
Yeah, right. It happens. All right. So since the last time we played around with this, I kind of started messing around with different effects, some lights, some particle effects, post-processing. We still kind of have our dash in here.
Can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, yep. We have our health items and stuff still with lights. But it gets really dark in here because I was playing around too much. But does anybody have anything specific that they'd like to see in Unreal?
Hey, Professor Whitworth, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so now I'm on the other version, so I can see if this will pop up.
Oh, okay. You're on the desktop version? Oh, yeah. Look at that. There we go.
Yep.
All right. Never mind, everybody.
We're in?
We're in.
Great. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at a basic UE4 AI state machine, and Professor Whitworth had mentioned that he does not prefer this version. I personally do because I'm kind of a visual person when I want to see the actions that the AI is taking. So that this is a great way to do it. You can see exactly what your AI is going to do, why it's doing it, and if it's not doing the right thing. During your testing, you can see which tree it's going down. So our goal for this, we want to create a simple AI that wanders around, and when it sees the player, we want it to chase the player. If it loses the player, loses sight of the player, it's going to return to that wander state. We're going to call it patrol, but it's essentially a wander. And I initially heard about this. I can't remember what class I was doing it for, but there was a great demo by Ryan Laley, and that is how you spell the name. If you look it up on YouTube, essentially from this tutorial, you can move on to his, I think it's fourth video, and add some more advanced features to your AI directly from what we're building today. So this is how we're going to do it. We'll be using an AI controller that has perception. We'll be using the Blackboard and behavior tree blueprints. And there will be some additional components. These are mainly going to be in the behavior tree, and we'll discuss those as we kind of delve into them. But right now, we're looking at, first of all, the root. Basically, what that is where your AI's brain starts. And then it goes down a little to the next node, which is essentially your selector, which makes your choices, and then sequences, which you can think of as first A happens, then B happens, then C happens. It's a sequence. And then we'll be looking at a couple of decorators on our sequences, as well as tasks and what tasks entail. And I made a quick video for you guys so you can see what we're trying to make here today, just in case we don't actually make it. So yeah, I'm walking around and trying to lose him first. I want to lose the AI to make sure he starts wandering. And this is all in virtual reality. So this is a virtual reality game. Okay, so he's wandering around. I've lost him at this point. I want to double check, make sure that he isn't seeing me. Okay. And then now that he doesn't see me, I'm going to go ahead and get his attention by wandering his perception range. And he immediately starts chasing me. And he's going to continue to chase me even as I jump around. And then I'm going to show off my little virtual reality body, which is basically a flashing box. Great. So that is what we were trying to do today, is build that. Okay, so let's pull up our Unreal Engine project. And the first thing we want to do whenever you're putting any sort of artificial intelligence into a project is you want to build a nav mesh. There's got to be some place where the AI can walk around. We have to define that territory. So we come on up to here and do the nav mesh bounds volume. And just drag that into our world. Try and center it if you can, doesn't really matter. But put it kind of in the center. Oh, you like the body? So that is all using C++ code. So that's just using C++ code there. The actual physical body, that little thing that it does, the reflection and stuff, was just a material that came with the. It's not even in the basic materials because this is a empty project, but it came in the engine content. So I don't know why I made it small like that. We actually are going to make it bigger anyways, but let's go ahead and spread it throughout our island. So see that green area right there? That's one thing that you're going to want to know about. If you press P at any time, you normally won't see this. So when you're dragging out your nav mesh bounds, this is what it's going to look like. You'll just see these lines and stuff here. You won't actually see that green area. So we'll start out like that, but we want to go ahead and extend it a little bit that way. I don't want him to get down onto the rocks because I want kind of the rocks to be my safe area to test to make sure that I can escape from him. Okay, so that looks all right. And let's just make that a little bit bigger, see where it goes in the world, how deep. Oh, it's not even going into the ground. Okay, and then once you get a semi-decent position for it, this is where you're going to want to turn P on to see what area is covered. So any green area like that means that he'll be able to walk on it. So we do want to expand that out a little bit still. Okay, this way, and then we want to bring it up so he can go on that hill. Oh, is he not going to be able to go on that little corner? Oh, I guess not. Maybe the shape's off, or he can't automatically walk that way. It was working pretty decently earlier, but this is a good enough area for purposes. If you use a flat area, it'll just cover all area. If you use like a ramp or something, the height, like this height, the line we just built, is going to determine that. So we go ahead and just save that. And since we know that the nav mesh is now good, we can go ahead and turn it off. Okay, so we need to create our character next. So we're going to build that off of Blueprint class. And if you haven't done this before, ask any questions. We're going to build it off of a custom C++ class. So VR player character, that is him, I believe. Hopefully, let's just hope it is. Okay, and we're going to name this our player character. And then we go ahead and save that. And since this is a VR character, there's one extra step we have to do. You guys won't have to do this unless you're building your own virtual reality project. But on begin play, we need to go ahead and set our tracking origin for the head-mounted display. And we want that to be the floor. And the reason for that is if you don't do something like that, if you are building a virtual reality project and you do not do that particular step, your character will be right on the ground pretty much. And then the next thing we actually want to add to the player character is we want to make sure that our AI is going to be able to sense them. So we're going to add a component called an AI perception stimuli source. Okay. And then when you come over here in the details panel, first of all, you want to auto register as a source. So we want our character to register as a source so that artificial intelligence can recognize them. And then this one, we actually determine what kind of source we're making it. So we go ahead and add one there. And for this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and go with a sight sense. So the sense of sight, the AI is going to be able to see this character. It registers as a source for sight. So we go ahead and compile that, save that, and we are actually completely done with our player character at that point. And next, since we created a custom character, we are also going to create a custom game mode base. And that's a real simple one. Just come up right up here, game mode base, and we're going to go ahead and name this our demo game mode. And inside of our demo game mode, we need to make sure that our player character is the default Pong class.
Now, just real quick, I wanted to jump in.
Player car. And then, great. So we're good there. We're not going to have to mess with that. Then we come over to our world settings here. Select our game mode so we can actually do it nice and easy. Click it and then make it active. And our player character is populated. Great. So the next thing we have to do is create our AI character. And for this, we need 4 basic components. So we're going to create each component first, and then we're going to go through each one and kind of set them up to make sure that they're connected to one another. So the first thing we're going to do is we come up to here, go to Blueprint Class, and we are going to create a character. And we are going to name this NPC character. Okay. And then we are going to go to our next one, and we are going to set up an AI controller. So you get that by going Blueprint Class, and then see it's not actually here. You can get a player controller. So again, you have to come down here, type in AI controller, select that, and we are going to name that NPC controller. And then we need to create our artificial intelligence. So they make it nice and easy with for us here in Blueprints. We just go to artificial intelligence, and the first one we're going to create is the behavior tree itself. We'll call that NPC _ BT for behavior tree. And next we are going to create the next item in there, the blackboard. And what the blackboard does is it stores variables that can be accessed by our behavior tree. So we're going to call it NPC _ BB. And we are going to make sure that we have all those saved so we can go ahead and connect them to one another. Okay. Then we're going to open up our NPC character, our non-player character, our AI. And we are going to set a mesh for him. So for this, if you're just doing super simple project, you can do the third person character. This project doesn't actually have the third person character in it because it is based upon a blank project. So I always go to the Unreal Marketplace every month. I don't know if you guys have done this yet. I would say it's a great practice, especially when you're starting your degree. But go to the Unreal Engine Marketplace once a month, and they have free content every month. You just go to Marketplace free and then click free for the month. And there's all kinds of great stuff, and it stores it for you, and you can keep using it in different projects. So for this project, I got and this is available right now. So if you wanted to do something with this guy, this is something for this month. It's a sci-fi robot. So we go ahead and activate that mesh, get that mesh in there, and then we're going to go ahead and bring him down. Go ahead and try and get it kind of close to the bottom. If somebody was on close investigation, we want them to see the feet hitting the ground. Okay. And then we're going to want it facing forward, so we get that rotated 90 degrees. Okay. And then we don't want our little robot just standing there. So we want to go ahead and give him an animation. And one thing that's great about this asset that came free this month, is it actually uses the third person animation blueprint. So everything that goes along with that. So if you did want to create this AI and then go beyond what we're doing today, to have it perform actions, you can use all the animations that a third-person character can use. So got that set up. We've got the animations in there. And then we need to go to our NPC character up here, and we need to set the character AI controller class. And so that is the AI controller class here, and currently it's set to AI controller. We know that's wrong. We need to set that to the NPC controller, so that the brain of this robot guy is controlled by our NPC controller, not something that's pre-designated and we're not even using. Okay, so we've got that all set up. We're going to go ahead and toss him in the world because he is actually fine for now. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go ahead and bring him into the world, and he looks fine. We don't need to change his size or anything. He should just pop in. There we go. Okay. So next thing we're going to work on is our NPC controller, and this is pretty basic. We're going to pull up the controller, and the event graph, we want to go ahead, we're not actually using tick for this one, so we can go ahead and get rid of that. But for begin play, we want to go ahead and run a behavior tree. And we're going to use our asset that we created, our NPC behavior tree. It's as simple as that. The brain knows to run off the behavior tree. Okay, so then we also need our AI to be able to sense our player. It kind of works both ways. So you go to the add component, and we are going to add some AI perception. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and add our configuration. So this is the AI perception, the senses configuration. We're going to go ahead and add an element to this. And again, we want them to be able to see the character. So we're going to choose sight. Now again, if you wanted to make a cool little game where you had blind AIs that only followed you based on sound that was created by foot movement, or they only recognized you when you came in contact via touch, those are all simple options right here. Okay. And then so once we have that, there's one other portion we need to configure on here. So we go down to sense, and we need to affect the detection by affiliation. And for this, we want to make sure that it is detecting everything for now. Now these little categories, again, if you go to the Ryan Laley tutorials, you can actually designate enemies, neutrals, friendlies. And when you do that, you can designate different characters. Like you wouldn't want your AI to start chasing your friendly rabbit character in the game, right? Okay, so we go ahead and compile that and just make sure we're all good here. I believe so. Okay. And the next thing we're going to want to do is pull up the Blackboard then. So we're going to make sure that this is saved all the way. Okay. And then we pull up our Blackboard. And for this particular demo, we are going to use two variables. Like I said, when you've got your behavior tree, your Blackboard's where your variable's going to be. So you can see here they have a direct connection relationship. So we're going to add a new key, and we're going to do a Boolean. And since we want the player, the AI to see the character or not, we're going to call it Boolean sees player. Okay. And then the next one we need is a vector, because we have to tell the AI where to go. And when we're playing a game in 3D, we have to measure locations in 3 dimensions. So we're going to use a vector for that. We're going to call it our target location. Okay, and that's literally the only thing you have to do with the Blackboard. If you want to add additional checks or functionality, you just come right in here. But for this particular demo, we are done with the Blackboard. Okay, and then next, we're going to go ahead and pull up our behavior tree. So the exciting part's getting ready to start. Or the not so exciting part, Professor Whitworth is right that this is the boring part. This is the part I like though. So the first thing you always want to do when you pull this up, you want to make sure that it's connected to your Blackboard. Sometimes this could be blank. Sometimes you could have multiple Blackboards. So if you have multiple AI that have different parameters set up for them, you want to make sure that this is the accurate asset here. We're using the Blackboard asset NPC BB. And again, this is the root that we mentioned earlier. This is where it all starts. So where the fun happens. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a selector because we want to make a choice. We want to give our AI choice between 2 behaviors. So we've got our selector here, and we can just pull that right there. And then from there, we want one of 2 things to happen. So one option, or the majority option, unless he's chasing us, is we want him to patrol. So we're going to create a sequence, and again, that's just a set events. So you could think of it if you've done blueprint behavior before, it follows chain to chain, so one node to the next, but in this fashion. So this is number 1. If I put another one here, a task here, it'll be the second task, essentially. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and name this one patrol. Then we come over here and get another sequence. And this one is going to be for chasing the player. So all the actions that happen in here are going to be related to that. Okay, and for now, we are done with the behavior tree. We're going to go ahead and, well, actually not yet. We're going to create our first task, but we have to be in our behavior tree to do that, to make sure it's associated properly. So we want our AI in our first task to find a location in our nav mesh. Then we want the AI to move to it. Again, since this is a wander, we're not going to be doing it as a patrol would. If you are planning on using a patrol AI, it's recommended, or at least as far as I've seen, that you go ahead and just use target points. So that's super, super simple. You just grab some target points, throw them all around the map, and you can do it that way. We're actually going to create it based on a wander task. So our first task we're going to create is finding random location for our AI. Do that, click new task. Anytime one of these pops up, it will pop up automatically. It'll have this real funny name, and you don't want your task to be named that. Otherwise, you'll have a very confusing behavior tree with a bunch of sequence items that say BT76, whatever it says. Oh, it's not that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and change that. And super easy way to rename things, if you haven't done it yet in UE4, is just hit F2. I actually ended up making a game for my kids on virtual reality where they picked up all their alphabet and letters and stuff like that. And after importing everything, I came with bad characters, so I had to rename everything. So I found that F2 is really helpful, especially if you've got a large group of items to rename. So we're going to call this our finding random location. Well, if we could spell location. Okay, so pull this up. And this is our first task that we're going to create. So we go ahead and open the full blueprint editor. And so we need one variable for all of these kinds of tasks that we're going to be doing. Since they are location based, we are going to call them vector. And the variable, though, isn't going to be vector. It's actually going to be a Blackboard key selector. And what that does is it gives us the ability to either get the data from the Blackboard or set that data. And since we're doing that, we want this to be a variable that's available for other functionality as well. So the first thing we need to do as well after that, or the next thing we need to do, the thing you need to do whenever you're creating a task for an artificial intelligence in Blackboard is create an event, receive, execute AI. And what that does is basically when you come down the little line, you'll see it to our node for the task, this is where it comes in. So it received the execute, this is where it starts. Okay, and then the only other thing you need for sure is a finish execute. So what that does is it tells us that this action has been completed, and now our sequence can move on to the following task. And for that to happen, we need to set this to true. Now, since we're not checking a conditional in this one, we're going to just set that ourselves by clicking it, as I did. You could certainly have a Boolean variable in here that determines whether this executed appropriately or not. Okay, so we're finding a random location. The first thing we need to do is we need to get our NPC character, and we need to get the actor location. Okay, and then from there, we want to determine where it is going to go. So to do that, we get random point in navigable radius. So that's that nav mesh. What it does is it looks for a point in the nav mesh, the navigable radius from the character. And we can determine that by either just entering a number here. So we want it to be really close. You would set a low value that it can only go really close to itself. If you want it to be able to wander large distances, you would go ahead and expand that out. So for our purposes, though, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go with a random float in range. And what that does is basically I'm going to set a minimum value to 300, and then I'm going to set a maximum value to 1500. And what that's going to do for our AI is each time that this runs or gets executed, this little random float integer in range, random float in range will determine a value somewhere between there, and then it'll pick something from that radius, that circle where it can go. And the reason we're doing that, as opposed to just entering a number in there, is because it gives your AI more life. Instead of having an AI that always goes 300 distance or within 300 distance, we're expanding it. So you'll be able to see it in there. The AI, sometimes it'll go a short way from itself, sometimes it'll go much farther. So I kind of like adding that in there. So from here, we have to determine what we're going to do with our value. Now we've got our value, we want to get it back to our blackboard essentially. So we get our blackboard key, and from there, we're going to set the blackboard value. And that's super simple with one of these. You just go in here, set, and we're going to set it as a vector. So we can just type set vector. Set blackboard value as vector. Great. So we're going to go ahead and move these a little bit so it looks a little bit cleaner. And from our random location, that is going to be the value that we pass to our vector. And we just have to hook this into here and hook that into there. And that is your first task if you are building this. It's as simple as that. You've got a task set up. It looks just like a normal blueprint, but we are going to be able to add functionality to a behavior tree that makes it more intuitive and more fun, I think. Great. So we go ahead and compile and save that and make sure everything is good. Yep, we're good there. Great. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to make our character or our non-player character move to that random location that it just found. It's stored a variable. We need to get it to go there. So we go back to our behavior tree, create a new task. Go ahead and close that down and go over here. And we're going to name this one move to random location. And we can go ahead and pull that up. Okay, same thing as before. Again, we're going to be using a vector. We need to get that from Blackboard. So we are going to call that a Blackboard key selector. Great. And then same thing as before. We need to go ahead and receive event execute, receive execute AI, and we need to finish, excuse me, finish that execute as well. I'm reading your post, Professor Whitworth. You can all, oh, great. I've done it this way for a while and I didn't even think about that. No, that's great. I mean, I'm sure you can create anything from there. Okay. And then, so we got that. What we need to do is we want to make our AI controller move. So our controller, and we are going to do a simple move to location. Okay, so we got that. Put this a little bit over here. Always make sure you complete successfully. Otherwise, your AI will be just stuck in this loop over and over. I have certainly had that happen before. And pretty much the reverse of what we did before. We're going to get the vector, but this, instead of setting the Blackboard value, we're just going to get vector. We're going to get that data from the Blackboard and give it to this. And that's great. We should be good with our first little function. Okay. So next we need to go ahead and open up our behavior tree again. Which movie? Johnny 5. Oh my God, I don't know if I know that movie. Okay. So we need to implement short circuit. I think I might have saw that when I was a little kid. I might have to watch it again. It's been so long, I don't even remember it. So we're in our behavior tree now. We have two tasks we want our AI to patrol. So to do that, we just bring the tasks right off our sequence. The first one we want to do is find our random location. I'm fired. Oh man, you guys aren't paying me anyways, so. Okay, so we want them to find our random location. And then the next thing we want it to do is we want it to move there. Okay. And then after that, we don't necessarily want him to keep moving constantly, because if it does this, what's going to happen is it's going to start at the root, it's going to go down the selector, It's going to go to 1. It's going to find the location, move to location immediately, come back up, see that there's nothing under chase, go back to patrol again, find random, and it's going to keep moving constantly. He'll never stop moving. So we want to just go ahead and add a little bit of a delay in there. And that's something that's actually already built right in. It's called a wait. And we are going to have him wait for 2 seconds. And so one other thing to be really careful of when you're building these tasks is we clearly built the vector as a vector. And if you look down here on the bottom, it says vector B sees player. So if we ran this code right now, it would try and use that value, that Boolean value, to determine the location. That's not going to get us anywhere. So we go ahead and change that to our target location vector. Okay. So that should be good. Okay, let's go ahead and test that out. First little play test of this. And I tend to, when I'm actually designing something and I haven't practiced it a few times, I tend to play test a whole lot more. But let's go ahead and just see how this goes. Okay, our AI is moving. Looks like he's moving pretty randomly. Did you see how that next one, he moved much longer distance. Let's see if he does a short one. He's kind of ranging himself around. Okay. Anyways, it's working. Great. So the next thing we need to do. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I've had times in the past where I just write a bunch of code and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and compile this now. And then I've got 20 errors as opposed to the time where I write something or make a game functionality, test it, and then move on to the next bit. It's better to kind of test it in chunks. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our NPC controller. We actually need to set up our chase now. So we need to make sure that the AI is seeing our character, registering, and then also going to the player character. We need to set that Boolean value to true when he can see the player and false when he cannot see the player. So we go ahead and go to our NPC controller, and we go to the AI perception, and we go to right-click that and add an event, add on target perception updated. Great. So from there, we've got a couple of things to do. The first one, we need to go ahead and take this stimulus that it has perceived, and we need to break that so we can get some additional information, or actually our Boolean, which is right down here, successfully sensed. So what do we want to sense? We want to sense our demo character. Oh, did we not call him demo character? I think we called him player character. There we go. Okay, and if he has sensed, so here we have one additional step. So if you're working outside of the Blackboard, so if you're in a chair that you've created for your level, or in this case, you're in your NPC controller, and you want to access those variables that are in your Blackboard, what you need to go ahead and do, it's real simple. They make it real simple for you. You just type in get Blackboard. Okay, so we pull that on out, and we need to set our Boolean value. So set bool. Okay, and we know that the successfully sensed goes into here, and we know this goes here. So one other thing that you'll notice when working outside of tasks that are associated with the behavior tree is that you've got an additional node here, or an additional variable that needs to be established. We need a reference name. And you will also notice this in some other functions that you'll do using blueprints, but we need to actually get the name of that Boolean. It needs to be the actual full name. So if you're doing this yourself, what I would generally suggest is I would suggest going back to your behavior tree, or not your behavior tree, your Blackboard, copying that information and then pasting that in here. So we're going to go from our key name, and we're actually going to make that a literal name. And we are going to set that to our literal name, and I always keep it simple with booleans. That is BC's player. Great. So we've got that all built. Looks like we are good there. Great. So we set our value when he sees the player, and that is all we need to do on that one. Okay. So with that information, if that is true, now we need to go ahead and make our AI move to that location, or find the player location more specifically, and then move to it. So to do that, we'll go ahead and try Professor Whitworth's method of behavior tree creation for this one. So you just right click, and if I type, will it search? No. Maybe go blueprint class, and then do BT, what was it, task? Is it the task blueprint base? All right, I'm gonna skip that for now. So we're just gonna go to our NPC behavior tree, new task. Oh yeah, it is the blueprint base, great. Okay, we'll go ahead and close that again. And we're gonna go ahead and rename that, and we're gonna call this one find our player location. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and pull that up. And same thing as before, for our location, we're going to need a vector. And we want to be able to see that vector, because after it finds the location, we want it to be able to go there. So we're going to have to set it in our Blackboard. Okay. And then we get the event execute receive AI. And then we get our finish execute. Great. So once we've done that, we need to get a few things. So we'll start by just getting this information here. We're going to get our vector, and we are going to this time set that Blackboard value. Set it as a vector. Okay. And to get that value, though, we need to find our player location. So there's a pretty easy way to do that. We can just go to get player character. And same thing we kind of did with the AI, get the actor location. And so this is great. You can actually plug this straight into that value. The only issue with doing that, though, is the AI will go directly, especially with virtual AI, they'll almost be inside of your player character. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if it was in a third-person game, because you're not necessarily in it. But if you got a robot inside of you, it's not too great in virtual reality. So we want to kind of adjust that. So same thing that we did before, get random point in navigable radius. And we're going to just make that small, so something like 70, so it gets pretty close to our player. Okay, and once we have that value, we just plug it straight into there. And we're great. Okay, so one more task to build. Our final task, and we're going to try one more time since we know that that's the right one. Okay, so BT task blueprint base. Great. So we go ahead and pull that one out, and we are going to chase our player. Okay. Go ahead and do a quick save all. It's always good to save from time to time. Okay, and then same variable. This is going to be very similar to the move to random location. Okay. And we finish. Okay. So we're doing another simple move to location. And again, it's the owner controller. So simple move to. And pull this over. And our goal this time is going to be that vector we just set. So we're going to go ahead and get that from the blackboard. And we want to get a vector. Okay, we plug that right in there. So that is all great. That is our final task completed. So go ahead and save that. Okay. And the next thing we need to do is, or kind of the last thing we need to do is finish up our behavior tree. So let's start out by adding our two tasks. So we wanted to find player location. And after that is done, or after it's been accomplished, we wanted to chase our player. And we could certainly do a wait just like that other one. But part of this, I wanted to show you a cool little decorator that's built in there. So we'll get to that in a second if you're wondering why I didn't do that. And again, you want to come down here and check your vectors. For some reason, it keeps thinking my Boolean is a vector. Probably it's because it's the first variable that I created. So if you have one that you're going to use a lot, go ahead and make it your first variable. Perhaps it'll choose it right for you. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to need to do is figure out why is he going to know which one to go down. So we're going to go ahead and put a blackboard decorator on both of these, on both of our sequences, to determine if the AI should be patrolling or if it should actively be chasing. So super easy, right click on the sequence itself, add a decorator. We're going to add a blackboard decorator. And we'll just do that here too, just for consistency's sake. Great. So we come up here and we want this to happen when our AI does not see the character. We want our AI to go down this chain sequence when he is actively not seeing the character. So to do that, we come up to our blackboard-based condition, and we're going to rename it. We're going to call it not sees player. Okay. And so see, this is correctly set here. The blackboard key B sees player, that's the accurate blackboard key we want to be looking for, but we don't want it to activate when it is set. We don't want it going down here when it can see the player themselves. So go in here, we're going to change that to is not set. And also, if it's not set, we want to fully abort this if it is set, if it becomes changed to set, we want to completely abort this entire sequence. We don't want him to continue down this path if the variable has changed to true, being able to see the player. So that's our first decorator. It aborts itself, is not set, B sees player. Great. It's kind of the opposite here. This is if it does see the player. So we'll just call this sees player. Okay, and it's already set how we want it, is set. So if it is set, sees the player, we're going to go ahead and chase this guy. Great. And so, like I said, we have one other thing. We want to add that decorator so that he has smooth turning. And I mean, again, you could add a wait. And the reason that you want to do that for the chase function is if you do not add some sort of delay, the AI will constantly, while it's true, it'll constantly be going down this path. And what that looks like in terms of an AI is it's constantly snap turning because it's changing that vector based on tick. So we want to go ahead and delay that tick a little bit. So we go ahead and add decorator, and we're just going to add a cooldown. Super simple. Come on over here, and we're going to go to 0.2 seconds. And that is great. Okay, and if you are to this point and you've done everything exactly as I've done it, it should work. And let's see if I can prove that or be proven incorrect in that assumption. And for my test here, we're actually using an Oculus Quest, so I am probably going to have to unplug or shut this project down and then open it back up again with the Quest opened. So I've got it all saved. Okay, let's plug the Oculus in. And if anybody that has watched this video or is watching now has any interest in virtual reality development during this program, or if you have any questions in it, I've had kind of a long additional journey learning how to develop for virtual reality while taking the game design classes, and I'd be more than happy to assist if you have any questions or anything like that. My email is christopher.zavadil@snhu.edu. Okay, so we're set up now. So we can go ahead and pull our project back up. If it's gonna load. There we go. Let me know if I lose audio or anything, because I'm using the Quest through the desktop itself. So let me know if you can't hear me at any point. All right, so we're back. We've got the Quest on, and we have VR preview available. Great. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna jump on into it, and let's hope that it's not broken. Okay, so I'm working in the game. I got my body and everything. Oh, he's chasing me already. I assume that means it's working. Okay, so we want to go ahead and test it. Let's go ahead and lose them. One way to lose them is go down on the beach because we didn't put our nav mesh over there. Oh, so you can still kind of see us. Let's go ahead and go over here. Okay, you shouldn't be able to see us now. We just want to make sure that he's actually gone back into that wander state. And he absolutely has. Great. So let's get him to chase us again. I can't see us because we're behind him. Ah, there he is. Okay, bring him over here. Make sure he follows us. Great. Well, there you go. So it's all working. If you follow that step by step, it should work for you as well. If it doesn't work, let me know, and I can certainly let you know. All right. So making a game like Skyrim, do you need to do this for each individual NPC? Yeah, just like he said, you can make dependents. You can have inheritance with different qualities. Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, so we could do that from here. I don't know how you. That's something Professor Whitworth would have to kind of explain a little bit to me, how you'd create a class that encompasses the NPC character, the behavior tree, as well as the Blackboard and AI. If there's something that just essentially does that right away.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same way, Joe. So if you wanted to do it for a third person character, you do all of the steps exactly the same, except when you're creating your character class, instead of going in here and typing what I typed to create my character class, you would just create a third person character. So right like that.
Yeah. Or you can use the default template one.
First-person shooter based off that.
Yeah, or you can use the default template one, Joe, to create that. To add the stimuli. Yeah. And actually, that was an excellent question, Jason.
Is Professor Whitworth talking again next?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this weekend probably I'll be doing another stream. So I think I will cover doing a master AI with children that have different traits, so you can get multifunctional, but you won't have to repeat the AI, chase and all that stuff. We'll make a few master classes and go from there. But yeah, awesome work, Chris.
I'll probably attend that one.
Yeah, excellent work, Chris. That was really awesome. It was very informative, and you covered everything very well.
Great, man. As long as it works, that's kind of the important thing.
All right, yeah, I'll be sure to do that. I'm thinking probably Sunday is when I'll do that video. Give it time.
Hey, Jason, you're just starting a new program. Give it a little time. You'll be making cool stuff.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It is.
Again, if you have any questions or anything, just shoot that email question. Or you got Professor Whitworth. He's better than me, so.
Well, when it comes to VR, you actually probably know more about it than I do. I haven't touched VR in a very, very, very long time. Since the original development kit 1 and 2 came out for the Oculus Rift, like the first ones, I haven't touched AI since, or VR since. So.
Yeah. I was more talking about in regards to him saying that it was a lot to take in. I'm sure you could answer all of his AI questions.
Oh yeah. When it comes to AI, I definitely can. For sure. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate everybody who joined. Thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
I will talk to you later. Shoot me a message on Discord or email me if you have any questions. I shared Chris's email in the chat there, so you're more than welcome to email him, as he said. If you have any VR specific questions, he may be a little bit more informative than I would be regarding that stuff. But yeah, thanks so much, and I will talk to everybody later.